Hello and welcome to My Dad the Bobby, episode 4. Join me, Emma Brown, as I interview my dad, Paul Brown, about his time working as a police officer, detective, and private investigator. With over 30 years in the industry and heaps of stories and experience, Dad will be talking about what it was like in the police force, solving crimes and catching criminals. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy the show. Hi Dad, how are you?
I'm good, Ems. Very good.
Ready to go again?
Let's do it.
Last episode this is, so this is you can tell
My
us
last
everything.
chance of fame and fortune.
Exactly. Tell us all. So this is going to be a special episode because we're not really going to talk about like a topic in policing as such, but we're going to talk about what people assume about police officers and detectives from TV shows and movies. So I just want to clarify again before we begin, Dad will be talking about his experience of being a UK detective. So some of these things might be different in like other countries, for example, like these shows are set in other countries where they can carry weapons in the US, for example. So obviously we don't have that in the UK. Okay, so the first show we are going to talk about is Luther.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we've both seen Luther. Luther's great.
Love Luther, yeah.
So the first assumption might be that criminals care about the detective's personal life outside of work and police can get targeted outside of work.
Well, they don't care about police officers at all, do they?
Well, this is the thing. You just tell us true or false.
I've never had anyone care about my private life or me personally, which I'm not offended by, but that's just the way life is.
Yeah.
No, that's a load of old nonsense. But what was the other part of that question? About their personal life? They show an interest in their personal life? No, they don't.
Or they can be targeted outside of work.
They can be. They can be targeted outside of work. Touch wood, that never happened to me. I am aware of police officers that it did happen to, and their families have to be rehoused, etc.
Oh, really?
Stuff like that. But it's not often. It's not common. But you've also got to bear in mind that I retired 14 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about in my time. It may be more prevalent now, but there are special plans put in place for when that happens to protect police officers and their families. Yeah.
And also now we have things like social media where you can find people so easily.
Yeah. Never had that in my day.
No. So the next assumption is that detectives can go above and beyond in their personal or lives or personal time to try and solve a case.
No.
No.
When you say go beyond their time, what do you mean?
So, like, if they're outside of work, but they're still thinking about it, and they might go outside and, like, try and find stuff out even when they shouldn't be.
What, in their own time, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think that happens. The thing with being a detective was you didn't really have any shifts. You worked about what was required. So you might go in one day and work 8 to 4 and do what you need to do and come home again. But a lot of the time, and your mum will tell you this, I was away for hours and days.
Yeah.
Just on different stuff because you're doing investigations. And just because some people go to work at 9 o'clock and come home at 5, that's not the way it works in the police. You have to, you can be working late at night to try and find out things and see witnesses, and because most witnesses work 9 to 5, so they can't see you until 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock, however. So but you just worked the amount of hours you needed to work to get the job done. There was no exact time limit, and that was in a day when overtime was prevalent and there wasn't a problem, and you could just work to get the job done. But no, I mean, I never took it out of my own time to go and do it.
No.
If I was doing it, I did it. And I was getting paid for it. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one we're going to move on to is Sherlock Holmes. And the assumption might be that detectives can get a sixth sense about some cases and work out crime on instinct.
You get gut feeling.
Yeah.
You get gut feeling, definitely. Yeah. Something's not right.
Not Sherlock level, but gut feeling.
Not Sherlock level, no. No. I do remember going, it was actually a job in Cambridge a lot of years ago. And that was a murder inquiry. And we went to see a witness who was being over helpful. And I couldn't help but notice that he'd recently got a broken arm, been put in a pot very recently. And he was being over helpful when in the past his history of the police was being very anti.
Right.
And you start to think,
that's odd.
That's a bit odd. Why is he being helpful and why has he got that broken arm? And it subsequently turned out that he was convicted of another serious crime, not the one we were investigating, but as a result of what we did in searching his house, etc. We found him guilty of another offence, major offence, and he went to prison for, gut feeling it's called.
Yeah.
Some things are just not quite right. Yeah.
Yeah. And this might not be in your case, but, you know, Sherlock Holmes appeared on screen as sort of this larger-than-life or very quirky character who could be OCD, eccentric, or have other unusual personality traits. Have you ever encountered this with other detectives, or not really?
No, the best detectives are people who they're like a dog with a bone. They just won't give up. And I've worked with some really good ones of those, really good ones. I won't mention names, but if they ever listen to this, they'll probably know what I mean. But but you also get on the other side, like every other walk of life, you get people who do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And you don't really want that person investigating your crime. You want someone who's going to go above and beyond. And there are, you know, it's like every walk of life. There's people who are good at their job. It's like doctors, good ones and bad ones. Teachers, good ones and bad ones.
Yeah.
You know, so there were good ones, but instinctively, you want people who are just forever nosing around and just trying to get to the bottom of something. People are naturally curious.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and the other one that you've maybe touched on a bit in the past, and maybe not to the extent of calling this a disguise, but Sherlock Holmes often wore like disguises to carry out his work. And you know, you've talked a little bit on how on surveillance you would change your appearance.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, is there any more to that?
Well, surveillance is it's an art in itself. You're born a natural surveillance officer. I don't think you can really teach surveillance.
Yeah.
You can teach the basic skills, but it's whether you can blend in. And you would often, like going out on surveillance, I would often have 5 or 6 different coats in the back of the car, bags, different sports bags, briefcases, hats. That's a disguise. It's what you don't want on surveillance is a person looking around and keep seeing the same person in the same coat and the same hat. And and you don't want bright, gaudy colours. Don't wear a red cap.
No.
You know, just blend in and do your thing. So surveillance, that's an obvious thing.
Yeah.
With regards to changing your appearance. Other than that, there's no need to change your appearance in everyday policing. There's no need to change your appearance. But surveillance definitely. Change your appearance as best you can.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Lucifer, which is set in the US, so again, it might be slightly further away.
I don't think I've seen Lucifer.
No?
I don't comment on it. No, have I? I don't think so.
It's okay. I'll just tell you the assumptions that people might make. You don't really need to see it.
Okay.
So one assumption is that police will often source outside help, such as other private investigators or different people to help with the investigations.
Well, they do outsource to specialists, like what do they call them? Forensic psychologists, criminologists. You know, if you're looking for someone who you don't know who you're looking for, you need to have someone that can give you the type of person you're looking for.
Profiler.
Psychopaths and profiler. What type of person you're looking for. And I remember being on a couple of murders where those specialists were called in. And also, you get experts forensically you get people that can, they can examine things like, well, dentistry is one of them.
Yeah.
They can tell if you just find a skull, they can try and identify, can tell you whether they're black, white, male, female.
Yeah.
So all the time the police are outsourcing to other things. And also I remember doing a murder in a prison where you used digital analysts to go into the prison and scan it with lasers and form a picture of who would have been where and what distance it was and who could have been in possession of the knife and all this. So there's lots of external contractors that get used, people who clean crime scenes.
Yeah.
You know, after, you know, there's lots of blood and contamination there. You get specialist companies who do that.
Mm-hmm.
What's that comedian, the big guy? He does that in he goes to crime scenes and cleans it all up. Great big
Greg
comedian.
Davies.
Greg Davies.
Yeah.
He does a series. Yeah, look it up on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's funny. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Light-hearted stuff, but the police recruit all sorts of experts from outside. People who examine soil. So, for example, if you find tyre tracks in soil and then you find a car with mud on the tyres, they can forensically link that type of soil to the soil where the crime scene was.
That's what they did in the Sower murders, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
They did use them, yeah. Yeah, we use a lot of experts for the Sower murders. A lot of experts in different fields.
Yeah. It's really interesting to hear there's so many like different job roles that the police commonly use, and like you need experts for absolutely everything to paint this bigger picture, but
you do,
it's very interesting.
Definitely. I mean, for example, that forensically on the Sower murders, that house, the bungalow where the caretaker lived, that was stripped brick by brick.
Really?
Plaster taken off the walls, the plug sockets taken out, the light fittings removed.
Yeah.
His car was just stripped. Every single item was stripped. It's just a shell. So, yeah, there's loads of experts used from outside, but they're obviously not working with the police all the time. That's their specialist field, and when we call on them, they're there.
Yeah. Okay, another assumption people might get from Lucifer is that police detectives can often be blunt or rude as they are always short on time.
Some are, yeah.
Yeah.
They are, yeah.
It's more of a personality thing,
I've probably
I
been
suppose.
guilty of it myself, but without meaning to be. But when you're busy, you don't want to be messed about by people who are trying to
waste your time.
Prevent you detecting crime and being a hindrance and trying to stop you detecting crime.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can be a bit rude to people. Probably been guilty of it myself, but treat people as you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I'll be lovely to people and kind and polite, but if people want to annoy me, they might get a bit back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that happens in all walks of
life.
All
walks of life,
really?
Yeah, everything, yeah.
So another one from that show is that police detectives can solve crime in a matter of hours.
Oh, yeah, every day. Yeah, get one. That crime's coming up. I've had half hour and I've sorted it. Yeah. No, it's a long-winded process.
Yeah.
It's a long-winded process, particularly if you're dependent on forensics. You know, like you often see these TV programs and they say, "Oh, get this off the ballistics, the bullet, get off the ballistics, or get this blood off or this hair off, get it to forensics." And like a minute later in the program, I've got the result back, boss. It sounds like you know, sometimes you can wait 8 weeks for a result.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's not unless it's fast-tracked, urgent. But your average run-of-the-mill for a fingerprint might take 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's a delay because these processes take place, and particularly with DNA, because they have to grow the cultures and do all that stuff with them. It's not a 2-minute job. And I often laugh. You look at these TV programs, and in 1 second they're giving a document, someone will get this looked at, and like in the next clip, it's like these are the results. And I thought, wow, I found it was that good. And it's always on computer. You always got a big. Oh yes, just come in. Yeah, I got this. No, it hasn't. It hasn't. You haven't been dealing with the local forensic team because that's a good 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And particularly when you on a body, if you send away for toxicology results to see what's in the blood, that's weeks.
Yep.
That is weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why they won't often give you a result of post-mortems, because they're waiting on toxicology to come back with the result.
See, yeah.
So when they say that, cause of death hasn't been established, it's not that they haven't got a pretty good idea, but they need to send toxicology up, and that ain't coming back for 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is Miami Vice, which I've never seen.
Brilliant.
But you
Crogs
will
and
have.
Tuppet.
Oh, God. Okay. So the
Crockett and
first
Tubbs
question,
even.
when I imagine you driving around, I think you thought you were in Miami Vice sometimes.
It's brilliant. Brilliant.
So one of the assumptions is that detectives drive around in really nice cars and wear linen suits, and it's all very flash.
Well, I can end that myth straight away, because they were in Miami.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I was in Peterborough. But no, I did a lot while working in London. I did a lot of work in London. And I do remember I do remember an incident on Tower Bridge where we were following a guy who got a kilo of heroin in the boot of his car,
I love this story.
and he wouldn't stop. And we had 6 surveillance cars on him, and ideally, what used to happen, ideally in an ideal world, you call in a marked traffic car to stop that vehicle and search it, because you don't want to blow out the surveillance team.
Yeah.
And you want to protect your surveillance vehicles. But with that one, he just wasn't stopping for anyone.
Yeah.
So in the end, we rammed him on the middle of Tower Bridge, closed Tower Bridge, and jumped out and put a baseball bat through the windscreen because he wouldn't unlock the car, and dragged him out through the screen, and we recovered a kilo of heroin.
Oh my God.
But in that instant, there were 6 of our vehicles damaged. And when the boss rang me in the morning, he said, "How did you get on last night?" I said, "Well, do you want the good news or the bad news?" He said, "Well, give me the good news." I said, "Well, the good news is we got him. He's in custody down in London, Paddington." I said, "I've got a kilo of smack back." And he said, "What's the bad news?" I said, "I've damaged 6 of your cars." He said, "Oh, well, these things happen." So,
Got away with that one then. So another one is that detectives will chase people on foot as well as in cars, including through busy places like airports, shopping centres, etc.
we do briefly.
Yeah.
And 35 years ago, I might have done,
Yeah.
but not now.
No.
And it does happen. Police officers do run after people, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can soon establish in a minute whether you're going to get them or not, can't you?
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, these people are young and fit and lithe and not picking on them.
Yeah.
And you got some old big fat detective about 15 and a half stone and 45 years of age. You ain't going to catch up with him, is it?
No.
So it does happen. And a lot of the younger uniformed police officers who just joined, they're fit as anything. They'll go. But you got to know what's achievable, ain't you? Because if a young lad started running away from me, I'm not going to bother starting, am I?
I don't think it'd be good for your knees anymore,
wouldn't
Dad.
be-
I
no.
don't think you could do it.
Them days are well gone.
Yeah. Okay, so another one is that off-duty police officers and detectives can arrest people.
They can for certain offences, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can arrest off duty. I can't remember what the criteria is now. Some offences are you can only arrest if you're in uniform, but I think that relates to drink driving offences and traffic offences. But mainly, if a police officer who's off duty sees a crime committed, he can arrest someone, yeah. He's got his warrant card on him all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can detain him, caution him. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. And anything you do say may be given in evidence. That's why you often see it. I don't like these TV shows where it shows someone being arrested. They say it so quick,
Yeah.
the person can't even understand it.
Yeah.
But the criteria is that they get cautioned.
Right.
And providing you can prove to the court he was cautioned, that's it.
Yeah. And in the UK, we can also publicly arrest, can't we? You can perform a public arrest.
Yeah, I think you can for certain things. I'm not sure what the criteria is for that. I don't know how that works exactly. Obviously, it's never been, because I've always had the authority to do it. I've never, people commit citizens' arrests.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah, be very
I'm not
careful.
saying don't do it. If you're confident in your ability to do it. But you only need a punch in the face from someone. It might deter you quite quickly from making a citizen's arrest.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, now these are just other assumptions that people might make, but we're still going to go through them. So, police officers often have the same political affiliation, views, and values as each other.
No, not necessarily.
No?
Not necessarily. I think in my day more so.
Yeah.
In my day more so. Most of them were on the Conservative side of things.
Yeah.
Because it was, in our era, the Conservatives looked after the police better than the Labour government did.
Yeah.
In the sense of pay rise and budgets for what equipment was required, etc. Not all of them were, but vast majority were Conservative voters.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's true anymore.
No. It's probably much more varied.
Much more varied, I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one is that police officers and detectives do not feel stress or they're immune to stress.
No, they do feel stressed.
Yeah.
They are under stress a lot of the time. I never felt stress very often.
Yeah.
I was okay. A lot of people do feel stress, and you are dealing in stressful situations, particularly when, the thing is, getting back to it, when someone's in custody, you've got 24 hours to deal with them before you're either going to release them or charge them. And they're entitled to their 8 hours rest, they're entitled to their meal breaks, and they're entitled to face east and pray and do all that. You have to give them that time. I've only got 24 hours. But in that meantime, I've got to go home. I've got to somehow get all this stuff out of my head, go to sleep, feed myself, prepare for the next day, get in. I don't get 8 hours rest. I get about 4 before I have to go back and do it all again because the clock is ticking. And if you don't get that person charged or bailed, you're going to have to let them go.
Yeah.
So it was always unfair, particularly if you had a long drive home. You know, their clock started, the prisoners' clock started ticking the moment they were arrested and brought into custody.
Yeah.
And that 24 hours starts then. For me, after I've had a few hours interviewing them, and I've then got to debrief the team, the bosses, decide what we're going to do the next day. Then you've got to drive home. Then you've got to come and see you because you'd only been little in bed, as would your brother have been. See you, get home, 4 hours sleep, get up, do it all again, get showered, drive into work, prepare, etc. The police officer don't get a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
He gets a very brief window of rest before he's back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, Dad, that is the end of my questions.
Okay,
so we'll
good.
finish up there.
Good one.
Thank you ever so much for doing this podcast with me. I feel like I've learnt so much about you that I didn't know, and it's been really good. And I hope it's been entertaining for the viewers as well. And yeah.
I just hope it has been entertaining for them. I can't imagine anyone interviewing their dad and trying to find it entertaining, but as long as they do, that's good.
Well, it's been entertaining for me, and that's the main thing. I've gotten something out of it, so it's all good.
Good.
All right, Dad, any final words?
No, all good. Thank you very much.
All good. Thank you so much. And again, you can email us at mydadthebobby@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at mydadthebobby. Okay, thanks everyone for listening. Bye.